Mic check. Motor Masters podcast was made, of course. Of course, me, I got a very, very special guest. I got Miss Olivia Gaines. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Hello out
Doing good, doing good. Um, so I say special. I know I recently posted that I was only going to have women on as guests for in honor of Women's History Month, which is this month, March. So I did put one episode out, which was a black farmer woman. And I did an episode maybe 3 weeks ago. So it happened to be the first one, but it wasn't designed that way. So you the official first one, like since I said it though.
Official first. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So definitely shout out to you. I know we spoke off air about how you came across More Than the Masters. So I'll start there. How did you come across like the More Than the Masters podcast?
I'm a part of Karen Gordon's groups.
Oh wow!
On Facebook.
There we go.
There we go. Ms.
All
Gordon.
roads lead to Karen Gordon. I keep telling her that.
All roads lead back to the Empress of Cool.
Definitely.
I saw that you had a podcast that was More Than the Masters, and I wanted to come on and talk about some of the literary initiatives that we have happening in Augusta. And I'm working along with the Arts Council to do some literary programming, but to also let people know that you have a black romance writer right here in Augusta, international best-selling romance novelist right here in Augusta.
I definitely saw that in the message, and I did some research on that as well. So definitely kudos to you for even being in that lane. I know. And I'll get into it more later in a minute, but I do know like when you think of black authors, especially when it comes to romance, I don't know if this would even be considered romance. I'm just throwing it out there from what people say. They think of Zane, they think that's romance, not this and that, anything like that, but that's not idealistically. That's not what I think of romance. That's just erotic, eroticism and stuff like that.
Yes.
But they'll kind of put that in the same category, yeah. So yes, definitely. If you can, like when you say,
let's talk about that.
Black romance.
Let's talk about it.
What is that?
I am a traditional romance writer. That means that my stories have a happily ever after. All the stories are going to end with happily, the couple being together happily. Some of what you were talking about is called struggle love, and you'll see a lot of urban fiction deal with struggle love, or there's a lot of trauma in the story and a lot of black trauma for the ladies or the characters to find closure. As a romance novelist, what I write, there's a guy, he's looking for a woman. They find each other. They decide, okay, you're it. We're going to make this work. And I spend the time developing the characters and how they're going to build this life together. When I come home at the end of the day, after I've been out there at my job, getting beat up by the boss, the clients, everything else, when I come home, I want to be loved. I want to be nurtured. I want to be fortified to go back out there and do it again. That's what I write. I write romance. I'm talking flowers. I'm talking dates. I'm talking wine and gifts. I write traditional romance.
Well, definitely. I love the way you explain that, but it definitely could just be that simple.
Actually,
it could be that simple.
It is that simple. I think what has happened over the years is that device that you have in your hand all the time has taken away the connectivity. And usually, if you sit down and you have a conversation with a woman, or even your best bud, just about life in general. What are your plans? How are you planning on getting there? What can I do to help you build? Then the conversations are entirely different. But it is that simple. And I'm coming from somebody that's been married for 35 years.
Oh, clap it up for you, being married 35 years.
35 years to the same man.
Hey.
Let me clarify that, to the same guy, okay?
You said some people be adding on their marriage?
Yes.
That's funny. But you said something, and I don't want to skip past that. I think it's so ironic you said that. You said a a lot of things have changed based off the device in our hand.
Yes.
And when you sit down and have a conversation, you get connectivity.
Yes.
The irony of that, when the device is connected to so many things, but it don't give you that connection.
Exactly. We forget the power of, hey, baby, how was your day? We forget how powerful that is. We forget how powerful it is to walk in your front door and have somebody waiting to embrace you and say, welcome home. To have people in that environment celebrating you. And you know, every day that I get up and I'm going out there to make that money, I'm making it to move our life forward. Okay, this is our starter home. We've got our vision board, what our next home is going to be, and the land that we're going to have. If you're working toward those goals together, you ain't got time to be doing all of this. Because every day it's moving that peg a little bit further on that board. And when people start to get back to realizing how important and how powerful that is, not only for the man and the woman, but for the people that you are nurturing and growing in that home, then your outlook on relationships completely change.
I'm gonna get to the interview, I promise. But I do want to ask this one question.
We're fine. We got time.
Struggle love.
Struggle love.
You mentioned that previously, and trying to in your explanation of what romance was. But if you can, when you think of struggle love and that term, what does that mean to you? And does it have to exist?
It does not have to exist. But in order for that to go away, you have to be willing to say, I love you, but you're not the person for me. And a lot of times we find ourselves in relationships or situationships with people who don't feed who we are. And we end up making adjustments. It starts slowly until 2 years in, you've become somebody that you don't recognize. And so you're constantly at each other. You're constantly fighting each other. Or you're with somebody that does not have the same financial acumen that you do, or the same financial goals. They get $5, they got to spend $4.50. So that's what I mean about struggle love, that this person, if you're going to be with them, it's going to constantly be a struggle because they're not seeing things the way that you see things. Or if I say, well, maybe that's not the right shirt. Oh, you saying I look fat? You saying this color's not for me? And everything has to be an argument. Or every other month the lights got to be out, or the power's out, or we're going out to eat, but there's nothing in the fridge. You want to spend $80 at the steakhouse, and you come home, the fridge is empty. It's not balancing out. That's not a relationship. That's struggle love.
Hey, steak do taste good though. But I get your point.
But I can also buy 2 ribeyes for $20. And when you come in from work, I can have that steak cooked. And we sit down at the table with a bottle of wine and we talk about it.
I gotta clap it up for you for knowing how to cook steak. That's also part of that connectivity thing you was talking about. We got so many people that not saying anything wrong with it, because I mean you live at the time, but instead of actually learning how to cook,
right?
Everything's a TikTok, everything is content. You'll see people, they'll be on having a camera and stuff set up cooking. They're not cook at all. They just made something for that and they never cook it again. So they just that was something they put out. But then you'll talk to this person or you'll see this person, you thinking they a cook because they cook all the time. Like, I just do this for TikTok. I don't know. It just look good. It's not really. So we live in a climate of perception rather. Like
yes.
they build the perception instead of letting you get to make one for yourself. By the time you make it for yourself, it's kind of like it don't match the one you've seen. Right. But once again, it's back to that phone and connectivity. So if you probably had that conversation, you probably would have found that out instead of.
Well, one of the things that I did with Show Me, with this book, is that it has a companion journal. Okay. So everything that they're doing in the book, you can also do with the companion journal. They have like a Friday night where they make ice cream sundaes. You got all the ingredients, and that can be a date night. Or they're making an apple pie together, and you're taking pictures of yourself to put inside the book, not for social media, but it goes inside the book. So you can look back over your year and see all of the things that you've done. There's a calendar in there for you to plan out your dates. There's activities in there where you can go on a scavenger hunt in your own city. Go to your state capital and meet your representative. I've got an alphabet date series in there where you got to do something that date that starts with A, do a date that starts with B all the way through Z, And you've got pages in there to write it down. There are coloring pages in there for you to sit and color. I've got pages in there for something as simple as, what's your dream car? What's her dream car? A lot of people don't know that about each other, just simple things to reconnect.
That's an interesting perspective when you think about what comes along with the book. And I want to get into that, 'cause I want to make sure that's its own version. So I'm gonna write that down now, because that's even having the journal that you said it's called Companion.
I'm sorry, what?
The journal.
The journal, right there.
Yeah. That's dope. And that goes with the book.
It goes with.
Oh wow. Okay, we're gonna get to that. So normally I start this off way earlier, but we had a good conversation. I didn't want to mess it up. But so tell me and tell the people a little bit about yourself. Like, where you from? Like, are you born and raised in Augusta, or are you from somewhere else? You just migrated here?
Okay, I'm going to back it up. I'm Olivia Gaines. I'm a USA Today best-selling author of contemporary romances. Start there. You can find me at ogaines.com. That's OGAINES.com. So we got that out the way. I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. I went to school in Birmingham, went to college in Birmingham. I am a journalist by trade. So I've always wanted to write novels. And my husband is military. And we ended up coming back here because it was a better place to raise our son. And so we came back in 2000. So we've been back in Augusta since 2000. And for many years, I did the Augusta Literary Festival. I did the Augusta Literary Festival for 7 years at the Downtown Library, in which we would bring in authors from all over the Southeast to come in and talk about the writing process. And then we had the big, where they would sell their books and, little writing workshops for people to come in and learn as well.
Well, I just want to stay with the Birmingham just for a second. How was it growing up there? And I asked that because when I hear about it, I'm not from. I've been to Alabama before. I drove there. I like it when I was there, but it's tied to so much. Whether you think with civil rights, or you think about the greats like Martin Luther King, the church. I think Alabama, not Birmingham, so to say, but the church.
The 6th Avenue Baptist Church. Yeah.
So how was it growing up? And I'm from New York, and I don't always say it all the time, but like even being from there, I always wondered, how is it being from Birmingham? Because it's like in history, movies, whether it's racism, whether it's civil rights, whether it's just unfair treatment, whether it's the Alabama football team, whatever. Like I always wondered, how is it being from a place with so much history?
There's history wherever you. I'm sorry, I meant the 16th Street Baptist Church. That's the talking about. The thing about growing up in the South is that we've always lived with each other. In New York, you've got Little Italy, you've got Chinatown, you've got Harlem, you've got, is it Little Irish or?
Yeah, it's a melting pot, but everybody got their own section, so to speak.
And that's the thing. You had your own sections where if you didn't want to intermix with this, you stayed in your section. In the South, we've always lived together. We've always lived next door to each other. We've always, grown up together. I'm going to date myself here. I was part of the kids that were put on a bus to go to an all-white school. So I'm dating myself there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I did go to Benson Valley Elementary School, and we were part of the kids that they put on the bus and took to school there. But I have all kinds of friends. I went to a very diverse high school. Had white friends, black friends, all kinds of friends.
Was the experience rough? Like, what was that like? I'm asking just because, like, I see the movies, I watch it, but what was it like? Were you scared? Were you not scared? Because
Scared of what?
I know art
I was more
imitates.
afraid the first time I went to New York than I have ever been.
All right, hold up now. What's going on?
No, I'm going to be honest with you.
Why are you scared?
I had friends. I had friends that moved to New York, and I would go every year. I would go see a show on Broadway. We'd have dinner at B. Smith's, the whole nine. And I was more terrified being in New York than being in Birmingham. You see all of the things on the news. It's the same thing with the media giving you a representation of who black people are versus the life of somebody that lives in the South. But you never hear anybody say, I'm going to retire and move up north.
No, never. It's not a thing, yeah.
It's not a thing. You retire and you move down south because there's a way of life down here that's about connectivity, that's about community, that's about family. My family still lives in Birmingham, Alabama. I still have a lot of friends that live in Birmingham. The kids that I went to high school with, they are now the people who run the city, So you give back to your community and your town based on what the town gave to you.
It's funny, and I guess it's going to be a theme of us talking, though, because I think we got the same mindset as well when it comes to, like, social media and just that device you speak of. We get so much of our information sometimes from there instead of that quote unquote connectivity.
Correct.
So living in Birmingham, obviously what I see in a movie, not saying that it wasn't a thing or it's not some form of that there, but that may not be what you've experienced, know?
Right.
And you may not feel the same way. But just like when you see a New York movie or a Brooklyn movie and it's like all this bang, bang, shoot 'em up stuff, and I'm like, that wasn't my experience per se,
Now, don't get me wrong. You can get a cat busted in Birmingham, too.
Anywhere you go. Almost like you said, it's history everywhere.
Because there's a couple of areas of Birmingham you don't want to go in, areas that I grew up in that I wouldn't go in now. But that's anywhere, know. Things have changed, and then there are some things that stay the same. It's the same thing here in Augusta. Even though Augusta is the second largest city in the state, it's still run like a town, and it still feels like a small town, even though it's not, because you have those gatekeepers that keep that image,
right?
When that's not necessarily what it is. There's more arts and culture in Birmingham than it is here in Augusta.
You make a good point with the connectivity thing too, because even when I started More Than the Masses, that was kind of why. I guess I can kind of use with. And you author with words, you well with words and all that stuff too. So you help me like shape my answer. It changed every time I tell somebody I started the podcast, right? Okay. And when I think about it, I really wanted to get that connectivity of what Augusta is versus what you might see on TV. They see the grass is green or the Masters.
Correct.
But they still think it's clay down here for some reason. I tell them the clay is pretty much gone. There's no clay down here per se. You got some areas, but for the most part,
there's a lot of clay.
But compared to when I first came down here, like this road or, like Peach Orchard wasn't what it is now in 2000.
Right.
So I try to bring that out. It's people like you that live here. Like, you're not from here per se, but you're a big part of the community and you bring in a whole culture of where you're from here, So where it's not a melting pot per se, once again, in the South, you retire down here. So you got people from all walks of life coming down here and then shaping the community as well. So I think that connectivity thing is going to be a theme. I'm gonna have to write that down. That was, I don't know how you came up with that, but that was good. I guess you do the storytelling thing very well.
Well, that's what I write. I mean, I write romance, and in order for me to sell books, I have to make you fall in love with him. So right out the bat, I have to make you connect to this man and what this man wants and what this man needs. And then I introduce her. And I've got to make her be this person that that you want to win. Now, I have written some characters that people absolutely hate, but the thing is to make them fall for the guy.
Well, and I'm going to do back and forth a little bit because I want to ask this question. Do you ever write the other way around where it's you putting what the woman needs, and then like I don't know, just flip flop. Do you ever do that at all? Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, let me clarify. I have a friend locally who writes as well. She's a romance writer. And she was writing mail order brides. And the traditional mail order brides is the woman in the frock that's on the wagon train going west. And we were sitting there talking. I said, well, I'm going to write me a mail order bride. Her name going to be Laquita. She going to have an MBA, and she going to be from Compton, and she going to marry somebody named Ralph that lives in a yurt on the side of a mountain. And it started as a joke. I'm on book 17.
Oh, wow.
Okay. It's always the woman coming to the man, all the mail order brides. Peter is my first mail order man.
So I wasn't going to ask, but I'm going to ask.
Go ahead and ask.
Just if you can, give me a brief, or not brief per se, but just a summary of mail order brides, and then you said mail order
man.
Mail order man.
Yeah.
I read it, and I did read that part. Okay. I just read it. I didn't know what it meant. I just kept reading.
Mail order bride is everything that you think it is. I have this
mail as in like MAIL, right?
MAIL.
Like you mailing it. Or...
Yes, we're gonna correspond.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna pick you out of a book, and we're gonna start writing each other. We're gonna start emailing. We're gonna pick up the phone. We're gonna call. But I had to go a step further. They go through a whole battery of tests. They have to have a physical, medical, all of this stuff, blood test, and they have to do the compatibility scale. So they start there, and then they get like 5 or 6 choices. And based on what they're looking for, the guy gets the images of the woman, and the woman sees the images of the guy. The guy pays the fee, and the woman usually moves to where the guy is. She packs up her life. She walks away from her 6-figure job, and she moves to where this guy is and starts this life and starts this family. And I got to book number 17, and I wanted to reverse it. I have this history professor, comes from a large family. He's got 12 brothers. He's got 11 brothers, and he's number 9 of the 12. And each of them are married. So, now we're at 22. And each of them have kids. So the immediate family is like 64. He doesn't want any kids. So you got a 40-year-old black man who's never been married and don't want kids. So immediately, what's wrong with him? Yeah. She is a professional black woman that has an accounting business. She is a millionaire, okay? And she can't have kids.
Oh, wow.
And I wanted to really delve into how we treat our friends and family that can't have kids or don't want kids.
Okay.
We only have one. And I talk about this often. Family would be what? Well, when you're having another one. Or we had family members trying to give us kids.
Oh, wow.
I don't know this child. You can't put this child in my vehicle. I don't know that kid. I'm not taking that kid home with me. And we had that happen often, because they just felt like we needed more children. And I would have to say, well, the Lord gives us what we can handle. And I wanted to delve into that the two of them, we're happy. We're good. We have this life, and then they find friends who also can't have kids for whatever reason. And then there's a whole community of, they call them dinks, dual income, no kids.
Okay.
Yeah, DINK is a dink. And if you are dual income, no kids with a dog, you are a dinkwad.
Oh, wow. Okay, dinkwad.
Yeah, a dinkwad, yeah.
With a dog. That's funny.
With a dog. So they are dinkwads. They are dual income, no kids, and they have a dog.
No kids. Okay. Dinkwads.
Dinkwads.
Well, clap it up for the dinkwads,
brother. But can we be okay with our friends and family not having kids? There's nothing wrong with people who don't want kids, or if they can't have them. Why do you have to make this woman feel as if something's wrong with her? Yeah.
I think I know I've seen it on social media. And I think that is one pro to the whole device connectivity thing we talk about. It's something that I don't think about until I see somebody say it that I kind of know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay. So I shouldn't do that, because you think you're not. Even somebody, say my sister, for instance, when she was younger, she was real skinny. They'll be like, oh, why are you so skinny? Do you eat? Do you eat?
Right.
Never think about how that made her feel.
Exactly.
Like now she stuff her mouth. If she asks for just carrots, are they gonna laugh at her? But even what you were saying about having kids and stuff like that, asking somebody when you're gonna have kids, what if personally she can't have kids and she don't already know? So now every time she asks this question, she's having to relive the fact that she can't even have kids. She may want them. She may want a bunch of them. Can't have any.
Exactly.
Every time that gets brought up, and especially it's normally asked in a very insensitive way. Sometimes jokingly, but
always.
And I think anybody would take it that way. So
always.
Yeah, there's something to think about. As somebody have kids, I don't ask why. I try not to even ask if they even have kids at this point. I feel like if it's gonna come out, it's gonna come out. I don't like to ask. Yeah. If I see a baby on your screen, I'm not gonna ask. Baby could have passed away for all. I don't know. I just never know what's gonna come if I ask that question. I let the people tell me what they want to tell me. But I learned that through the whole social. I don't know. But I also wouldn't ask somebody if they have kids. I probably don't care, me personally. But I know that's a thing. How do you deal with that though? How do you deal with when you get asked about more kids, or you get asked about, you try to get kids pawned on you or whatever? Like, does it bother you? Did you necessarily want more per se? Was that ever a factor?
We wanted more, but I wasn't able, and that's a little too personal. But since I couldn't have any more, he took the steps so he wouldn't have.
Oh wow,
so that lets you know this is my person.
Yeah,
this is my person letting me know that 10 years down the road, he's not going to bring something through the door and go, well, this is my other child. So I can't and he can't. Okay. So in the book, I do dig into that because the character, she grew up in foster care. And people keep, well, why don't you just adopt? There are kids in foster care. And she's like, I grew up in foster care. I saw the kids that came through. And usually by the time they're in the system, they've already been damaged. You really have no idea what you're saying, and she grew up in that house, always having more kids coming through. And then Peter, being a college professor, he's dealing with kids all day.
All day.
And then every family function, there are so many kids running around, everything that they do,
Yeah.
You're talking about 64,
No, yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot of kids. And he's like, I was in college before I got a pair of jeans that I bought that was not hand-me-downs. He said a lot of times I would get shoes that were still warm from my brother.
Yeah.
And when she finally got to meet the family and she sees all the kids, and she's like, they all look about the same. I can't tell if I counted that one all once or twice already.
It's something to be said. Every time I used to watch Home Alone, I always ask myself, because I always make these characters real people. After a while, you watch it for so long. I said, I wonder if this guy, Kevin, would ever have kids. Because there was so many kids in the house, and then the experience you have. But I don't think people ever realize like the experiences you incur or that you're a part of can be the reason for your decisions.
Yes.
He probably seen too many kids like that. I don't want to deal with all that. he probably don't want to have a kid have to have hand-me-downs or all this kind of stuff. People, the things they experience, they don't want other people to experience as well. Maybe trauma, whether it's trauma, like you might not want to bring a child into this world because you feel like it's a cruel world.
Right.
There's so many reasons as to why, based off your experience as well, and that could be reasons why you don't want to do certain things. Even with the character, and you said being in foster care, like seeing that's a lot of trauma with that. Seeing all of that go on, it's not normal. Right. I can see someone not wanting to adopt. My grandmother, she adopted my dad's mom. She adopted my whole life pretty much, but I don't think she ever adopted a kid that I don't want to say normal, but it came with a lot.
Yes.
Everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think she was successful most time. I think one you had to just let go back. They wasn't it. Nothing she did that the person just didn't want. She didn't want a family.
Right.
She was used to whatever she was used to. She didn't want to do none of that stuff.
Exactly.
And so even me seeing that, even now, I saw him. My dad passed away a little while ago, and I had to go up there, and I saw him again after like a couple years. They all still dealing with a lot of stuff,
Yes.
even with having a family. They just got a family now, but they still deal with the same exact stuff. Actually, one of them got their kids taken away. So it's like,
struggle love.
again, there you go.
Struggle.
Yeah, it's like, and sometimes even in life, I don't know if you ever seen it or if you wrote through it, but for some reason, you'll go through something in life, and then you'll grow up and put somebody else through the same exact thing. I don't know why, like,
Yes.
so, you know, like they was in the system, now their kids in the system.
Well, they don't get the resolution that's needed for healing. And I do delve into that as well, that she went through a great deal of therapy to come to terms with, I've lost the parts that make me a woman. Or men want to date me because they know they can empty in seeds that won't bear fruit.
Wow.
Or they think my self-esteem is low and I'll be happy to have anything I can get because I can't bear fruit. Right. And so she's like, I'm not doing that. And instead of Peter having to pay the fee, she paid the fee. I'm going to pay the fee. This is what I want. I want an educated black man. I don't want him in the same field that I'm in. He has to be willing to move because I'm not giving him my business.
The kids studying that, they say standing on business, and that's what she stood on. Like she just stood her ground, and it's the other way around for me. Yeah. You know?
But what I love about it, even though he has received a copy of her financials, so he knew, she comes home and he's gotten to writing more because people forget that men also nest. Okay. He's cleaned out a portion of the garage and he's put in all of his tools and he's got his shelvings in there with all this little, his little stuff. And then he's got his writing more. And he's made this nice dinner, and on the counter, he's put like a little envelope, and in there's like $300. And she's, what's this for? He said, well, for your hair and get your toes did. And he's like, yeah, I haven't seen you, get them done. I guess you get it done at work or something, but I just wanted you to have that. And she, okay.
And she's a millionaire.
But he has been raised from birth to be the head of his house. And he is her man. And so as her man, I don't care what you got. This is what I'm going to give you. And one of the conversations that he has with his father is that if he stops on his way from work and picks up a cue, and he calls his wife and say, hey, baby, I picked up something special. He's like, in her head, she's already running these scenarios that she told me she wanted an X, but in my pocket, I got a cue. So I walk in the door and I hand her this cue, and she's, oh. And he's like, my little cue has been diminished. He says, so now she'll never get another letter from me because she couldn't appreciate me stopping to get this. And I wanted to kind of point that out. And his father says, and her, he said, Daddy, I came home with a T. It wasn't even a capital T, it was a lowercase T. And she fussed and fawned over that T like it was the biggest thing she has ever saw. And I had to excuse myself to walk in here and close my door and stick my chest out like, He said, because she made me feel like a man. She made me feel appreciated for my little lowercase T. It wasn't no special occasion. It was just that he stopped and he thought about her. And she was like, you picked up something for me.
Like, where do you pull from when you writing these romance? Because all of this sounds romantic as well too. Like it sounds like the beginning stages, but of everything that it's nice, it's beautiful. I'm getting this just because gifts, which I think is very, very important to do. So this way we're not putting pressure on ourselves for holidays as well. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It seems like you pulling it from within or just experience, because you don't strike me as the type to just pull from quote unquote this device or social media. Everything you're saying seems organic.
It is. Now here's the thing, as a romance writer, and I know this is going to sound really weird, they have to talk to me. And each one of those characters in my head are real people. Now, you mentioned earlier about erotica. Erotica uses certain words that you would see in adult films. Okay. And erotica will describe every single thing that happens from the moment she touches the zipper or he touches the zipper. Erotica will walk you step by step, right?
Mm-hmm.
In romance, you got a couple of options. And usually for me, he dictates how much of his business you don't know. Okay? He may only want you to stop at the door. When that door closes, you don't need to know what's happening. You know I kissed her. She gonna be happy. Okay? Or he could be, come on in, but stand right there. You could watch. And then there are some that I write, be like, okay? Peter's nasty. And she finds out on their wedding night.
Oh, wow.
Because she wakes up and she's kind of, stuck to the bed, and she's like, what were you doing with your feet? I'm not understanding what you do with your feet. And she's got all of these questions. And he's like, well, he said, men get reputations too. And he said, we all made a pact, all of my brothers and I, that we would not be that son. He said, so I'm limited as to what I can do. I can't, with my father, because his father would be the equivalent of like T.D. Jakes. Okay. So he's limited, especially being a college professor. I'm not messing with none of these students. I'm not messing with any of my, coworkers. So he's limited. So he's been holding all of this. He's got all of this in reserve. And he's like, I've been saving this for my wife. And she's like, I think at one point you drank me. Did you drink me? And he's like, yep. So you get to have some fun with them. But they also remind you that married people are passionate people, and the passion doesn't have to stop after the wedding night. I wrote one scene where, like the whole with him cooking the dinner and cutting the grass, and he's just sitting on the couch, and she's like, well, what's wrong? And he's like, this is going to sound so stupid, but I want you to come over here and take it. And she, excuse me? He said, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I want you to rip open that dress. I want you to pull those undies to the side. I want you to just come take it. And he's sitting there feeling stupid. And she like, okay, But as men, are you comfortable to ask for that? And that was some of the things that I wanted to kind of play around with as well. Are we given an environment in our homes and in our relationships where our men are comfortable to ask for the things that they want?
I think was interesting to me and very compelling as well is you're talking about these characters and you're telling me, pretty much she can, in any other situation, she would probably be the head of whatever because of what she make and what she does, her job and her money. But because he was brought up a certain way, that doesn't even matter to him. He's coming in, making less, but still being a man in terms of just men and still stepping into that head of household role. And you don't see that often. Normally it's the money maker is the person who makes decisions. And here he is making all of them and still doing things for her that she necessarily can do for herself, right. But she don't have to do that. He's taking that off her plate.
Exactly. And I mean, he does things like on Sunday, he'll go fill up her car so she doesn't have to stop on Wednesday or Thursday to fill up her tank. So he's already done that for her. When he's washing his truck, he washes her car too. After church on Sunday, they let the top down and then the convertible and go for a ride with the dog, stuff like that. And then he has a camper and they get out on the weekends and they, travel a little.
So I want to ask this before I ask about the journal though, but I will ask some social media stuff just because we talk about romance and stuff like that. So I'm going to bring some stuff to your attention, right? And then you let me know what you think about it or whatever.
Let's do it.
So could you just mention about, him taking her, getting her car, putting gas in her car on a Sunday? Okay. When you think of romance and your writing and just your knowledge of romance, right? does the idea of throwing 50-50 on dates is it ever a big factor in romance or anything you writing or just your train of thought?
My train of thought is I like to take my husband on a date. I've been married long enough to where at one point we only had one income.
Mm.
Okay. And the income was his. The little bit of savings that I had, I was putting away for us to have a little weekend getaway, a little mini family vacation. It depends on how far along you are in your relationship. If you guys are just kind of kicking it, I'm okay with 50-50, But if you have progressed to a point where you've put a ring on it, it's time for you to start stepping in the role as the head of the house. And as the head of the house, if you're going out to dinner, then if your budget only allocates $50, then you're going on a $50 dinner. Okay. So if you've got a little extra, a little windfall, you got $200 and you want to, maybe get a hotel for the night and then do dinner, then okay. You're not taking anything out of the bills. Okay. But at the same token, there's nothing wrong with her. Hey, I got a little extra. I'm going to pick my man up from work and I'm going to take him out. So when you're looking at 50-50, she's got to come with her 50 as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I asked because that's like, it's probably younger generation though, but, and I'll explain why I think it's not even important as they making it seem. But when they talk about it, it's always like this big debate. It's like every day now, like the past 3 years, to be honest with you. I don't know why this becomes every day. I guess they got, and another thing. I guess that's what they got.
Yes, I've been seeing that. I've been seeing some weird stuff.
But from what you're saying though too, and you kind of paint the picture in a perfect way is, this is just dates and it's not people they're not even married. They're just talking about what we gonna do.
Exactly.
Nothing about where we're gonna be at. What's our future like? Are we gonna be together? Are we compatible? Are you my person? Are you for me? Am I for you? It's just do I have to pay to go out to eat with you?
Exactly. But here's the other thing. If you want me to take you on $100 dinner, what's in your fridge? Can I buy you $100 worth of groceries? So instead of us, you eating good for one night, let me set you up, baby, so you can eat all week long.
See, that's the thing. Sometimes they can't cook. Ooh, I gotta.
That's okay. You go ahead and get her butt. What you call one of them things? Those Instapot.
A crock pot.
Get her an Instapot. What's that quick cook thing where you throw the chicken in there? The air fryer.
Air fryer.
Hey. An air fryer, the Instapot. You can cook anything you want. Have you had greens in an Instapot?
I have.
You can have greens in 45 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you make a good point though.
Yeah.
And you said $100. You know, it's crazy. It's $200 days they talking about. And I also feel like, so you just mentioned people being together, taking that step, head of household, you married, y'all together, y'all one, and your budget is 50, so we going on a $50 date. Yeah. But yet you have this crazy debate online about a date should be $200, and I don't even know you.
If my thought is, if there's a woman who is expecting me to take her on a $200 date, how is this evening going to end?
That's how most people be saying too.
Yes, I am Gen X, but $200 in my day, somebody was going to be naked.
It came with something else, didn't it? What it come with?
And are you making me breakfast in the morning? So I know things have changed, and the value of money has changed. But at some point, and I have a son. My son, trust me. Ooh. And some of these young ladies, oh wow, I tell you. But what are you bringing to the table? A $200 can do a lot of things. $200 can buy, a couple of stocks.
Yeah.
$200 can stock a deep freezer.
Yeah.
I understand you want to be in the moment, But with this economy and what's coming, your freezer needs to be full and your pantry needs to be stocked. $200 out for dinner, that's nice, but stock my pantry.
You know, it's funny you say a lot of this things you just have because I think you can verbalize it and you can say it in some way because you know words and you know how to speak well. A lot of people don't all the time.
Right.
So of course they'd be like, "Well, am I doing this?" You know, they'll say whatever,
right.
and that might be too blunt to say. But I definitely think when you think about it in totality, like, okay, I don't know you.
Exactly.
I don't know you.
Exactly.
So if I'm spending all this money, like, is it some return on investment I'm getting or something? Like, if I'm down to have a good night or whatever. But then you also say, like, you know, if you actually dating to marry or dating to have a future, right? Somebody saying what you just said, like, hey, well, I don't need to turn out a date. We can just give me some groceries. Like that's a green flag. You know, they got red flags, green. That's a green flag.
Yes.
Because you said earlier too, like financially, where they mindset at.
Exactly.
You know, not even what they bring, what they make, but will they help you save? You know, because a woman saying to you, like, hey, I don't. This is too much. You could just get some groceries. We can eat out all week. Oh,
like I know you have a car note. You got a car note. That means that you're paying premium price on your car insurance. And then if you've got rent or a mortgage, you are already down $2,500, you know, and the month ain't even over. And I'm expecting you to spend $200. If you're making it, yeah, if that's okay, if that's what we're planning for this evening. But with men, if you're looking for somebody to have a long-term relationship, you need to look for the green flags. You know, is she the kind of person that's going to tell you, baby, don't spend that. You don't need to spend that. You know, if we're celebrating something, yeah, let's do it. But just for, and then you ain't got nothing to talk about either. I'm sorry, I just got ethnic, didn't I?
You gotta relax.
I done put my degree in my pocket. Hold on a minute, let me readjust myself. Because, you know, you're going on a $200 date and they have absolutely nothing to discuss.
Yeah. You know, that's funny because you ask, and we could talk, like whether you physically mean it for real or if it just being a term, whatever. But what do you bring to the table? It symbolizes so much.
Exactly.
But then when you actually at the table and it's supposed to be a $20 date and we can't have a genuine conversation or you telling me everything I don't want to hear. You ain't in school. You ain't finished school. You don't have no goals. Both sides, not just women, men and women. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I don't know. I might start rapping next year. Or whatever. Not dissing rappers. I'm just saying, you know, you don't have no goal. Yeah, that's kind of. And then, but those are people that would end up having babies, or you know, and it's financially they already shouldn't do it anyway. You know, then they do that. Now they tie together.
I'm not touching that.
You know, and it's just so much with it. It's like, well, from the jump, it wasn't even what it's supposed to be. But they look at the outer so much instead of the inner a lot of times as well. Because earlier when you said something, I sat back and I was like, okay, maybe I'll see where it's going. But now I can see how even that financial side ties into the romance side because it all ties in together. No matter what, people always say, you know, money don't matter, this don't matter, this don't matter. It's not about the money per se, but it's the decisions around financially. You know, it's not always just money per se, but it's okay. Well, I know you have this going on, so let's go ahead and do this.
Right.
You mentioned even him getting a letter Q and press 1 to X, but then, you know, also buying a lowercase t and they going crazy over it. You know, it's like those little small things. And I hope people that's watching or listening take this and symbolize what we're saying, not just a T for real, but whatever it is.
Right.
I got you a book. It's not the book you want, but you got a new book, so you're just excited. Oh, you know, I love to read. He got me a book. You know, like it means a lot. I got you roses. Oh, he got me roses, but you know, I like
daisies.
I like daisies. He got me whatever. It's, you know, it's like, okay, now I don't want your roses again. So now we done lost that whole connectivity. I know you like roses, but I got you something, and it wasn't appreciated. So I definitely see that. What are some factors you think in romance that you think about when you're writing or just in your life that you feel like people overlook? Like just some factors in romance, whether it's financial, whether it's the whole connectivity thing, speaking. You mentioned the journal, so maybe we can talk about that. Like, how did that journal help with romance?
I think, let me answer the first part. I think what's overlooked in the day-to-day of living together or sharing a life are common courtesies. I'm getting up to get myself some water. I'm going to bring you back a cup too. It don't matter if you're thirsty or not. I'm getting something for me. I'm going to get something. Or you'll see people go out and get themselves something to eat and don't bring him anything. Or I'm
talking now. Talking now.
Or I'm out with the girls for girls' night, and me and the girls are having drinks and dinner. I'm going to get a to-go order for my man, simply because I had this for dinner and it was so good, and baby, I need for you to taste it. And I think more than anything, people overlook a simple phrase. How was your man? Well, sit down and tell me about it. You want a beer? Get comfortable. Let me make you a plate. I don't have a problem making my husband a plate, because I remember a time when I ain't had no money and everything that we had came from his one little check as an enlisted soldier. Okay? To this day, I will not buy a box of hamburger patties, because at one point, that's all we had in the freezer, and I had to be creative with that box of hamburger patties. I will not buy. Ever.
Had enough of that.
In 30 years, I have not bought another box of hamburger patties, okay? But it's those simple things that let the person know, I see you. I feel you. Now, there are some people that you meet, their pheromones, the term is your nose wide open. Because your pheromones, you smell good. Or they smell good to you. And it just, but everything that smells good don't mean you're not allergic to it, okay? Okay? So those are the kind of things that, you really have to take into consideration.
And I'll just expound a little bit with some, for me, I know that sometimes I people might say, well, you don't show emotion, you don't do this. But I also feel like it's gestures you do. Sometimes that you speak through different things. So you said something like, getting something to eat and making sure you get your partner something to eat as well, right? I'm bringing you something because I had this. I think you should have some. Or just in consideration, I'm considering you. Right. I'm here. Hey, I'm here. You want something? I know you got right to drop it off. You want something? Okay, cool. Also knowing you got this going on. But what can I take off your plate to make your day a little better, or make your day less hectic? Whether it's just, I'm busy, but if you just vent to 20 minutes, you feel better, so you won't curse right at your job out. You know what I'm saying? It's little things. It's so many little things, simple things you can do that are romance. That's romantic. Because it may not be like the glitzy and glamorous thing you read about, but it's something that you probably don't know. Somehow, some way, took something off your plate, or took some stress off you, or relieved you, in a sense. It fed something that needed feeding. You know what I'm saying? In a sense. So, it make me wonder about reading the book, because you're so detail oriented. I wonder how many details you would miss if you're just reading.
There's so many details in there, because he comes home when he finally does start the job. Okay, he has been made dissertation chair of the history department, and there are students that supposedly finishing their PhDs, but he's like, I'm supposed to get them through, and this stuff is a mess. And he's like, he's just frustrated. And she sits him down and she says, okay, let's lay it out. What's the problem? Well, I got to be able to put my name on them and say that, I guided them through. Well, where's the shortfall? And they talk it out. And by the end of it, he's satisfied, and he's given her that look. And she knows what the look means. And she's like, I know what that look means. I know what you want. I'm going to try to put up a fight a little bit, maybe a tiny bit. Okay, fine.
That's funny. But, in what you're saying, and I visualize it as, a lot of times I see on social media, I can't think of the actor's name as well. She plays everybody auntie or grandma. A beautiful voice.
Jennifer Lewis?
I think that's her. She's on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She played a lot of stuff. So many stuff. Yes. Shawana Man. And she talked about how calm her husband was. And when you just said what you said, I thought I'm a calm person as well. So like I know like you'll talk to a girl, my girl, whatever. She got this happened. Like look, just chill. All right, just lay it on the table. Right, and you kind of calmly walk them or talk them through whatever. Right. And by the end of that call or whatever, they feel more confident about whatever
exactly
they were stressing about. But that's romantic as well. It's just certain things don't get talked about.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's the thing. We have stopped having conversations in honesty. And that's the thing. You have to be willing to be honest. You know, him asking her to come take it, you know, he's being open. He's being raw. He's like, men don't ask for this. I feel stupid asking for this. And she had no problem. So she's like, so you cut the grass, you cook dinner. What, you asking for your reward? She's like, yeah. I even put flower boxes under the windows. I think I deserve some. you know, and he's being very honest about it, you know. And there's even where a couple of his brothers have come for a visit and things didn't go well because, of course, the sister-in-law. And he's like, you know, my brothers and I, no woman is ever going to come between me and my brothers. And he said, we've never expected in our lifetime for 12 women to be able to get along. And he said, you know, it's no big deal. It'll be fine, you know. And she just, well, I don't want to feel like, and he's like, no. Why you think I moved across country? Get away from him, you know.
You know, it's spoken about a lot, and I don't want to make it gender based. I don't think it's that. I think it's a both, but you know, reassurance is very key in romance as well. Just letting that person know, like, look, I'm okay with this. This is what it is, and no matter what going on over here, this is what we got. You know, so even her not getting along with the other women or whatever, it's fine. I didn't expect you to.
But
What's
here's
next?
the other thing. As women, I think we have forgotten to reassure our man that he comes in and his feet are dragging. You know, the job has put him through a couple of things, okay? When he walks in that door, just give him an embrace. I am glad you made it home in one piece. Just give him a little, you know,
You know, because like we talk about simple things, so many small things mean so much. You know,
it does.
That hug when you first walk through the door, regardless, and I'm telling anybody, regardless of how the man receive it, trust me, it's received.
It's received.
You may feel like he didn't hug you hard enough, or he didn't, but it's embraced. Because I can guarantee you, if you don't do it, it's gonna be noticed. What the hell's going on here? Why didn't I? But like you said, the subtle things, you know. I'm about to take a shower. My towel, my washcloth is there now.
Let me dig into that because.
Oh, please do.
And growing up in foster care, she was the only girl most of the time in the house. So there was always lemonade on the seat. So she doesn't want to share a bathroom. So he has the extra bedroom. He has his own closet. That's his B space. You can go over there. No, it's not a man cave. It's your B space. Just go over there and be. You can grade papers, sleep on the couch, your prayer closet, whatever you want to do. So she's about to take a shower, and he's got the poofy in his hand, and she's like, what are you doing? He said, I'm just going to wash that cocoa body from your neck all the way down to them toes. And when I'm done, I'm going to take that big fluffy towel over there. I'm going to dry you off. Then I'm going to lay you on that bed and I'm going to take that special lotion, you know, the one that smells like almonds. I'm going to start at your neck and I'm going to lotion all the way down to your toes. And she said, and then what? He said, we'll figure out the rest. But it's things like that, you know, you forget how sensual it can be to take a bottle of lotion and lotion her legs and lotion her feet. Or to do the same thing for him. If his feet feeling like he could, you know, climb a tree with him, you know.
Tarzan.
Or he could hang off the branch by his toes. or you could hear his feet scraping the sheets. Okay, let's put some Vaseline on them feet after the shower and put on some cotton socks. And just that little bit of care. Just, I got you. Just a little bit of pampering, because men want to be pampered too. They want to feel like somebody in this house care about me,
Yeah. Now there's anybody that's listening or watching too, like, I think one of the things about romance and versus erotica or whatever, but definitely romance, is the attention to detail. It's always the small things because they build up, a lot of times, even when you think about whether it's the sexual side and stuff like that, whether you're going through some relationship, a lot of times you just feel like that's if it's lacking or you feel like it's not the same. Normally, people aren't taking the time to do the simple things, and they expect to come home and just lay on top of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like, all right, well, what did you do today? How was it? Yeah, it's no connectivity there. Yeah. Once you connect, like it's easy to let things flow. Like he said, we'll figure it out from there. Because at that point, we ain't got to worry about it. We done did every step.
At that point, she's already relaxed. Whatever you want, buddy. That's fine. That's just, okay, whatever. Yeah. But with a woman, it starts in the mind. But people don't realize it starts in the mind with a man as well. Mm. Because something has hit him that mate. Mm-hmm. I want to mate. Yep. And so it starts in the mind. And when you get to the bed, you're in one accord.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus him coming in a Hyundai.
Yeah. That's funny. Like the wordplay there.
Yeah.
That is funny. Oh, and so with the book, how did you? Because his name's Peter.
Yes.
All right.
Peter Brown.
I like Peter already. All right. Yeah, I like him. He reminds me of myself a little bit. I don't know, but I'm not a professor. But I will say, how did you tap into coming up with this character? What spoke to you? You said they speak to you. So what spoke to you about Peter that made you come up with the character of him? Now I ain't saying kinky because not kinky, but just the romantic side and even it being so subtle. Because
there's always that running joke that the nerd will be the one that'll turn you out.
Gotcha. There you go. The quiet ones always.
The quiet ones, yeah. And from the moment he talked to her, yeah. Okay. But he also had different signs. He went to New York to meet a friend. And the friend was like, you hardly ever leave North Carolina. What's going on? He said, I need a change. I need to move somewhere far from my folks. I need to get married. And the friend like, okay, let me call this professor right here over. He calls him over and the guy has an opening in Missouri. And he goes to the mail order bride place and he takes the test and he matches with a woman that lives in Missouri. Mm. So he had all of these signs that she was the one. And when he gets there and he meets her and there's that connection, that chemistry, that he can't really speak. She's touring him through the house and he just,
yeah. Can I ask a question? So I know you said the mail-in and mail-in woman, that's what you call it?
Mail order.
Mail order. Is that a real thing in real life too?
There used to be. I think there's still mail orders, but they're usually like Chinese women or Russian women.
Hold up. I ain't signed up for that.
But for years, there were mail order brides. There probably still are. But okay. I just wanted to put a spin on it and modernize it.
No, I like that. I like that. I like it because it's a lot of, I know with writing too, it's imagine, you want to imagine things. It's for the mind. It's and arts imitate life. So it's art at the end of the day. It's still an art form.
It's art, baby. It's all art.
Yeah. So, but I wonder because when you say, I'm like, is this like its own like universe? But that's the thing. Yes. Okay. So, but it's not dating apps. It's not, I don't know, farmersonly.com or.
Okay. So the concept is that each one of these books represents a different state. Okay. So Show Me is Missouri because Missouri
Show Me State.
The Show Me State.
Yeah, I read that part.
Okay. Georgia was a rainy night in Georgia.
Okay. Gotcha.
Kentucky was bluegrass and bourbon.
Makes sense.
Maine was lobsters, bisque, and berries. And I usually go to every state I'm on the ground. I'm walking through the neighborhoods. I'm listening to the lingo. I'm listening and I'm going to the restaurant, so I know what they're eating. So all of that research is included in the stories.
How do you do when you say research? Are you actually going to that place? Do you?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
wow!
I went to Maine, and everywhere.
How was that?
Cold. I'm Southern, so anything below 60 degrees is cold. But everywhere we went, they had lobster rolls. If not lobster rolls, it was some kind of a lobster bisque or a seafood bisque, like a soup.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have a lot of blueberries in Maine. So lobster, bisque, and berries.
So I asked this as well because I'm trying to get your writing technique down, just because I know people that like to write and like to read. I want them to be inspired by this as well. Okay. I think we spoke. I mean, honestly, like I'm gonna tell you this. I gotta clap it up for you real quick too, because you did a great job even this far of answering questions and still making the book relevant to the questions. You know, I mean, it happens sometimes, but I can tell you've been doing this for a while. Yes. So it's not your first rodeo, obviously, but yeah, could you? Every time you answer the question, you kind of refer to the book. And it's now I feel like I've read it, but I want to read it even more now.
Yes.
And I'm going to send it to people, you know, the link when you put it out. I think it's for men and women. I think it's perfect for men and women.
I have a lot of male readers.
I think it helps you it keeps you intact, because even the stuff you're saying, because it's easy when you get stressed out in the world to forget some things, you know, like. Yeah. And best when you're stressed, you make it about yourself sometimes, but your partner can be stressed as well, you know. And sometimes taking that stress off them will take that stress off you, just because they don't feel stressed. Now, you know, it can't just be one-sided. But I think a lot of things you're saying, detail-wise, in reading books, it'll inspire you to do something for your lady or for your partner or whatever, or for your man, you know. So, but back to what I was saying about the research part. So you really go to each state that you're going to write about. So to talk about the research part, because the glitz and glam is one thing, but before you start putting pen to pad and all that stuff, like, tell me about what all goes into coming up with a show me. So you go to Missouri. What do you do there? Like, how much time do you spend there? Do you go more than one time?
It's only one time. It's usually I've picked the city. She lives in Platte City. And he works in she has an office in St. Joe, which is 30 minutes away. And then the campus is 30 minutes away from Platte City. So they both have a little bit of a commute. So yeah, I had to go check out Platte City. I had to go to Kansas City. I had to go to St. Joe and just kind of walk around and hear them talk. You know, the same thing, Alaska, you know.
You went to Alaska? You say you from the South. I don't like when it's cold. You pick a lot of cold places. Alaska and Maine is both cold places.
But I go in the summer.
So you go in the summertime, or you go somewhere cold. But when you go to these places, whether it's Alaska, Maine, Missouri, are you already picking these cities that you want, or you go there first and then you come back and start writing?
I pick the cities ahead of time because I have to know how the airport is. You know, I need to know, is it going to be a crop duster? That's going to get you there. Is it going to be Oklahoma? The airport was an hour, and it was a small airport, you know, and he was a farmer. But I get into the history of Black farms in Oklahoma.
Okay,
you know?
Okay.
And that's the thing. In every book, there's a moral lesson, there's a history lesson, all of that kind of stuff. One of the things that Peter does, Peter is a historian, but he likes to take pictures of old churches. And one of the things that he keeps reiterating to his father and everybody else, that the Black church was where we got our education. You know, the initial starts of our education. And those buildings meant more than just a place of worship. You know, so I dig into that kind of a history of the church. Did I lose the question?
No, I was going to say that it's a lot to tap into. Because we be speaking, of course, and we're making that it's just romance, but it's so much more that goes into even you writing this, you know, romantic story and having romance written into it. Even you're doing the detailed work to make sure that you can put the detail into the romance.
But I have to make you fall in love. I have to, at the end of it, the happily ever after, when you close that book, I need for you to, and that's what I'm waiting for. That's what I need from you. I need for you to feel satisfied when you finish that book. I need for you to have escaped with me, because a lot of people who read me, they're taking that break. They're trusting me for this experience of, she's going to make me laugh. She's going to make me cry. I'm going to learn something new. There are people who wait for my books that they have date night, and they'll fast forward to the wedding night, and they'll read that part to each other.
So, and this is number 17?
Number 17
So
of that series.
Of that series. And this series is called?
The Modern Mail Order Brides.
Modern Mail Order Brides. And you got 17 books of those. Wow, okay. So you've done this 17 times. So
17.
It's just getting better and better each time.
I feel it is, and I'll reach out to my writing groups. I asked them a question the other day. Do you want fresh, or do you want the same trope? And they're like, both, and I'm sitting there with my hair all over my head and in my pajamas with a cold cup of coffee, almost crying, because and then I'll go rest and come back to it, because I'm having to tap into emotion. If you're reading it and you're crying, I was crying when I wrote it. And I think sometimes the readers forget that. If you're upset and you're angry when you're reading it, imagine what I went through in order to get them to that point. So all of those emotions have to come in there with it.
And I asked that because, like I said, you mentioned some stuff in your life as well, just that, happened. And I think, I'm asking rather, your life and your romantic life, or, your marriage, how does that shape like how you write things, like as far as the space you in, as far as, what you've overcame, what you've been through, how you got through it? How did that ever help with you writing to kind of still keep that realistic side of things, or, because some stuff could be, cookie cutter sometimes, but realistically speaking, like, how does that ever help with your writing? Do you ever ask him for advice, or you ever
yeah. Okay, I write this scene and I read it to him. No. ain't no man gonna say that, gonna do that. Well, he will say, really? And come back to it, Initially, we didn't think that this would take off. Okay. So it's basically me, a good friend who has been my editors from the beginning of the journey. My son was doing the graphics and the covers, and my husband was just like, you making my money? So once it started taking off and I'm on the road, he's like, oh, well, where are you going? I said, well, you need to start packing because you got to come too. What you mean I got to go? I said, I'm not going all these places without you. So I got to a point where I would only take bookings if he was able to come with me. And then there's one conference we go to in Florida every year. They developed a husband's club, okay? So they bring in all the authors, they help us get set up, and all the guys, they take off. Like next month, I think they're going fishing, deep sea fishing, all that kind of stuff. So the husbands get a chance to get together and sit and have those conversations, because being married to a writer, I spend a lot of my time in that room talking to myself. And my ongoing joke is like, if you see me in Kroger and I'm talking to myself, I'm in characters, I'm with my characters, and she's grocery shopping. So I got to figure out, is she a eye-level shopper, or is she a bottom rack shopper? So don't bother me, And there are times that I'll run into some readers, But most of the time, just, hey, I need a moment.
But because you started writing in 2012, you said? Like, okay.
Full time, yeah.
So, and that'd be what, 12 years now, almost about 12 years. So, and during this time, how had life changed? Like, just for you with the author and then getting the notoriety and then becoming a bestseller, like, how did all that change for you? Like, as far as when you go out, or just the fan base you have,
Olivia is a recluse. She doesn't come out much. Most people here know me by my government name. So usually if I'm out and about, that's who they know, that's who they see.
Gotcha.
You know, I've only recently been doing more stuff locally as Olivia. But I tell people all the time that fame is not real. It's something that, people allow to take over their
ego.
Yeah. I've been to events with authors who are big name. And I'm standing there like a fan, waiting for my chance to take a selfie. And they're like, well, hey, Olivia.
They know you.
But I write for the love of writing. Basically, I sit in a room and make up ways for people to fall in love. I don't take myself that serious. I can't, because that's what I do. I sit in a room and I make up ways for people to fall in love and figure out which chapter they're going to have a wedding night.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And so when you first started, like, did you see yourself being where you at now when you first started? I know you said you kind of just started, it was going to go, I guess maybe be a hobby or just something to do. At what point did you start saying like, oh, hold on, this is something people liking this. I got something here. I got something going here.
It started kind of as a gag. I found this picture of a black woman with a white guy nibbling on her. And I told my son, make me a book cover, put Viva Las Vegas across her booty crack here. And I put it on Kindle Unlimited. It had typos in it. She had a peanut allergy, and she was eating a Snickers bar. I put it up there, forgot all about it, came back a couple of days later and had sold 500 and some copies.
What?
I'm like, what? And I had a one-page website, and people started writing, what happens next? Well, what happens next? So I had to sit down and I had to write what happened next. And then I started getting all the feedback. Well, she's no XYZ. I'm like, I don't even know who that is. Well, it's okay, but it's not like XY of this author. Well, who is that? So I had to go look these other authors up. And then they're like, well, it's got too much sex. So I wrote the next series that had no sex. And I was at a conference, and we were up to book number 6. There were 10 books in the series. We were up to book number 6. And I said, there's no sex in them. And the whole room got quiet. I said, see, you can't tell me I can't write because you've been reading them and you've been thinking that it is. And all he ever mentions is that he wants his breakfast because a man needs his breakfast.
Definitely.
And their mind took it somewhere else. Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked that question, and what you just said made it just sparked something, because I know someone for a long time. I feel like they're an amazing writer, and sometimes you just gotta put it out there. Like people, when you're making these books or trying to put a book out, be an author, you got this. I know writing take a long time. I know it's a lot into it. I know it's art, so it's sensitive. You don't want to put certain things out. You want to put certain things out. You can't rush nobody, but sometimes it's about putting it in there. And then you came back a couple of days later, and I was like, oh wow, I got this going.
There's a lot that goes with it. You have to have a very thick skin. You really do. The first time I got bad reviews, you're not supposed to read the reviews, but sometimes you have to, because there have been times I've uploaded the wrong copy. And even with this book, I forgot. I didn't forget. I had a lot happening, and I didn't get the final copy uploaded or the right copy.
Yeah.
And so they come for you. They come for your throat.
And I know that one of the things about art is you subject to that at that point. Once you put it out there, you subject to, it ain't always good, you subject to all of that stuff. You can't pick and choose what you get.
Exactly.
And then you gotta take it with a grain of salt if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna take anything from it,
And some of it, readers not only fall in love with your writing, they fall in love with you. So they take ownership of you, and they feel like they know you. And I will get emails. You must have wrote this after you had your knee surgery. Were you high?
Wait, what?
And I'm sitting there. Oh, no, you ain't either. You don't know me like that for real. Because I will. And my husband will just come along and just.
Okay.
She. Because my government name starts coming out. I'm like, she don't know me. And he's like, just calm. Just calm. Because you'll have those who, well, I have a master's in English. So if you ever need a beta reader, you want me to send you an unpublished manuscript? I don't know you.
Yeah, they always out to get you. Them scammers is out there, man.
I don't know you. And what makes you think that I want your opinion on what I'm writing? I know what I'm writing. Yeah, that sentence may not be grammatically correct, but that's how she would say it.
Yeah.
So leave me alone.
That's what I like about what I read sometimes too. Like I felt like I can visualize them saying it because it's not that grammatically correct verbiage. I feel like I can visualize it.
Right.
Versus me like, okay, this is just another book. They're not really talking too crazy. So I do want to, speaking of the book though, I do want to talk. So the journal. It's a couple things that go with this book. A couple things. One is a playlist.
Peter's playlist.
Peter's playlist.
Peter's playlist.
Now, when you say go with the book, you mean it's just complimentary with the book. You're not saying play while reading the book.
Oh no, it's complimentary to the book because the first song on his playlist is "Show Me" by Glenn Jones. Okay. And then all of the book trailers, everything that DJ Khalid and Normani.
DJ Khaled?
Yeah, no, Khalid and Normani. Show Me Where Your Love Lies.
Okay.
So one of the book trailers has Show Me Where Your Love Lies. So that's the next song.
Okay.
And then you got Regina Belle, Show Me. And then Peter doesn't listen to secular music. But of course, there's a couple of, jams on there by Peter Brown because Peter Brown is what he does for his date night dance that he's practicing.
So all of it just ties into it.
They go to the Kirk Franklin concert with Ty Tribbett. So I got some Ty Tribbett on there, Kirk Franklin. I got some old school, there's a leak in this old building. Yeah. So all of that is on Peter's playlist, but he doesn't listen really to secular music because he grew up in the church.
Got you. But it's complimentary to the book, so it kind of just put you in that vibe.
Yeah.
Is that something you can do? Like you reading the book, obviously you're not reading in one setting. Probably some people might, who knows? But you're reading it, maybe you want to stop. You go to the grocery store, you put that song on, kind of staying with the book.
Yeah.
So I like that. I never heard this before. So that's
really?
I don't read a lot of books. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay.
But and then when I do read, it's like always like urban fiction. That's stuff I like,
Yes, yeah.
Or biographies. But something like this, I can see that putting you in, like you staying with the book. So even though you're not reading it in that moment for that, you going to work or whatever, but in your commute, you listen to the playlist. Coming home, listen to the playlist. You might play it at home. So now you still within the book that you're reading again. It's like, then it's all starting to make sense, right? But then you also got a journal.
Yes.
Now the journal, if I'm wrong, let me know, right? You speak about what the journal is, but that could also help you because you're reading the book, you might have a partner already. So it's inspiring you to do certain things.
Yes.
And now you're even more inspired because the journal is like, oh, we're going to do this. We should do this. We should do this. Well, when Peter did this, when this person did that, it's like y'all become one with the book.
Yes.
Even if that person's not reading the book with you.
Because it has simple things in there, like drive one state over and have lunch. So for us to drive right over the bridge to South Carolina and have lunch, you're actually in another state having lunch, things like that. Weekend trips, what's your go-to meal? What's your go-to dessert? What's your favorite cocktail? A lot of people don't know that about their partner. What cocktail do you like to make together? So you got areas in there for recipes as well.
That's dope because a lot of times people say too, like, oh, it's nothing to do, whether you're in Augusta or whatever, it's nothing to do here, nothing to do here. But this is something simple, just telling you to do it with your partner. Like, go here and do this, do that. I think you even asked earlier, like, what's your dream car? What's this? Like, it's just certain things you don't know, but it also still keeps you in alignment with the little detail.
Right.
The little details. And now you know that now. Yeah. You can You can make that for the person when they come home now. It's your favorite cocktail. You know what I'm saying? So I do like that. And you also, it's like it's dating from alphabet. So from A to Z is date. So A, B, C, D, all these dates go. Okay, I like that.
Because naturally, like with the M, you may want to go to the movies or something like that, but you may want to do something else. And the thing is to get creative with it. What are you going to do for K?
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kayaking? That start with K? Or C? I don't know.
Yeah, it's right. Kayaking.
Okay, yeah, there you go. I like kayak. I ain't never been there, but it seems peaceful. It seems, and you got one down here in Augusta too. Anybody from Augusta? It's a kayaking thing down there. By the walk. So, do you always put journals with your book? Is this something new you're doing?
It's just for this one.
Wow. So, what is so this one about 17 that made you say, I'm gonna make a playlist, I'm gonna make a journal that you didn't do with the other ones, or do you do other stuff with the other 16 editions that is just I don't know now because I'm just interviewing now?
I wanted to do something different with 17. Keeping it fresh for not only me writing it, keeping it fresh for the readers. And I thought it would be cool to have a male or a man. The women always move to where he is. Let me have him move to where she is.
So that was ready. You started different there anyway. That just makes sense.
Yeah. So I wanted to do something different, and I with them not having kids or me not having to factor in them planning to have a family, what are they going to do together now that they don't have that extra thing? They have the dog, but they don't have, setting up the nursery or any of that stuff, So how do people who don't have kids, what do they do? So I sat down with my male cousins and I interviewed.
Wow, see?
Do you know Corey Rogers at the... I interviewed Corey.
That's your cousin?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
I interviewed him, and Peter is very loosely based on Corey because Peter is also an Omega.
Corey is a historian.
He's a historian, and he's an Omega,
Wow.
and he's a branded Omega, and so is Peter.
Yeah, shout out to Corey Rogers, man. We've been trying to interview you for a long time, but our schedules be so busy, I ain't got him. But yeah, I want to pick his brain, but that's gonna be hard because with him, I have to have it's not that question. I have to have him flow because he's the historian. I don't know all this stuff, but he has a
you have to give him a window.
History.
You have to give him a window, a topic between there. But I interviewed him, the character, and I interviewed Dr. Hayes at AU as well, who is a history professor, and he actually does study Southern religion. So Peter is a combination of the two professionally.
But see, what I like that you've done, and like I said, this is me, the detail part. So I know I want to read the book just because of everything I'm talking to you about. And I think people will as well. But pretty much, you not only went to these states, I'm not even talking about this other 16 or how many books you done did, right? Just this one, 17. Show me. Go to Missouri. You canvass the area. I'm gonna just say you experience the area. I ain't gonna say canvass because you gotta experience it. 30 minutes here, 30 minutes here. Okay, they got that. They eat this, they eat that. This is some things that they do, some things like they do. Okay, cool. You kind of become a Missourian, so to speak, right? To write about it. And then you write in these characters of being in Missouri. Then you go, okay, well, he's a historian. Who do I know that's a historian? Oh, okay. Well, or either you talk to a historian and say, let's make this character a historian, however it went. But you talk to people that have no kids. Okay. Who don't have kids and happy with it? Who don't have kids and maybe they sad, whatever. But you go do all this due diligence to get these little small details to the build up, and somebody's gonna read this that maybe didn't watch this and all that, but they're gonna read this and they're gonna think romance, oh, it's sweet, it's nothing. But I think knowing all these little key factors you speak of is gonna make that so much more enjoyable reading because we know how much you went through to get the character development, to get the writing, because somebody might read that book and think Missouri for real. They think you actually grew up, born and raised in Missouri.
Now there are some of these books where I've gotten emails from people. I know where that place is where you get the purple milkshakes.
See that?
See? Or the Cadillac Ranch.
Relatable.
In Amarillo. So there's one characters. They're driving back from Vegas to Georgia. And it's a road trip book. And all of the places that they stopped. People are like, I know where that place is. I've eaten there. I got that same T-shirt, because we've made that trek across country, coming back from California back to Fort Eisenhower.
Yeah.
So we know that trek across I-10,
So I like music and I like to say artist to artist, whether you author, podcast, whatever you're a painter, you draw pictures, it's all art, right? And depending on how you approach what you're doing.
Right.
And so I know a lot of like music I like, whether it's rap music or R&B music, I see that they go places or they do certain things. They make their best music when they come off tour, probably, because they had all these different experiences.
Right.
Oh, I like when he come off tour, he make good music. So I think about what you're saying, we took this trip. So it made the book much better. You took the trip already. So you got your experience there to also add into whatever, to make it realistic and relatable, because you already done it. And until I talked to you today, I always thought like, rappers must got it good, because you can have this experience and rap about it. But as authors as well, you can go. One of my favorite movies is The Secret Window with Johnny Depp. I think he's the author in it, and then the author stole his work, whatever. It's kind of more of like a psychological thing, but still, nonetheless, I'm like, hey, this is not where he lived. He just dared to write a book.
Right.
To me, that was when I was young, like, that's insane. I live in an apartment, and we struggling. Right? He got this nice little thing just to write a book.
Just to write a book.
And I said, I know it's hard, but it sounds so peaceful. You see movies where people do that. Oh, I'm going to the cabin. I gotta write this. Okay.
Now, last year I went to a writer's retreat kind of place up in the mountains in Tennessee. I was the only fiction writer there.
Oh, wow. The only one.
The only fiction writer there. It was calming. It was peaceful. They had like yoga, and you had like community dinners. And when I got back to the room to write, I was so relaxed. I just went to sleep. I opened the curtains and you could see the horses out in the field, by my window. And I went to sleep. I was relaxed. It was peaceful.
Serenity.
But when I came home, I was recharged, and I could sit and I could really dig into the nuances of Peter.
So another thing that I wanted to ask you, just when it comes to write, like, how long does it take you generally to write a book?
I get that question a lot. Okay, I'm a writer, and as fast as I'm talking and giving, it's happening in my head as I'm writing. So I do 3,000 words a day. Okay. There are some people only do 1,000. I do 3,000 words a day. When I'm in a writing window, 3,000 words a day times 20, 25 days is a novel. A novel is anywhere between 60,000 and 100,000. 100,000 is more or less an epic. So something like Lord of the Rings or something, that would be an epic. But usually a novel is anywhere between 60 and 80,000. So if I'm doing something like this, which is about 65,000, it takes me maybe, 25 days.
Okay.
But then it has to go to editing, then it has to go to proofing, then it has to come back to me, and then I have to do another edit, then I have to go back out again. And then at the last minute, I'm still making changes. But while that's gone, I'm on to the next man and the next story.
In the story. Okay, got you. Let's make sure we got that right. They want to alarm anybody. Same man, 35 years, right? 30 years. Married.
Yes.
Okay. You said next man, just threw me off.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, because that's the other thing. I get to have all of these beautiful. So it keeps the marriage fresh.
Oh my God, that's funny. That is funny. Oh man. And also with the book, when people so is it officially out yet? The book, show me.
It came out last month.
Okay.
And it hit number 1 in 2 different categories.
Which was those?
Contemporary religious fiction,
okay,
and romantic Christian romance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I think is amazing too, because even what you just said, like the religious and the Christian aspect of the things is, if you are religious, or that's what you into, and you want to, this is also something good for that too, because your partner, you can bring that in as well. Like y'all can learn and stuff like that together. That's why you have to go to church or nothing like that, but like just saying this is part of me, and this is why I like this, and this is these moral values and principles come from this, and I like that. I like the idea of that. Even everything you said so far, to me, I didn't get like a churchy vibe like that. It just was like life. That just happened to be part of them.
Because one of the things that his father was concerned about, that she was a worldly woman and she was doing worldly things to his son, and his son was straying from their teachings. Even though his son's 40 years old.
Yeah, I know, right? And on top of that, he must have known his son.
But when he comes for a visit, his son's new best friend is the minister of a church. And when he meets Leroy, his name is Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins.
And he's like, don't even, And he's talking to Leroy, and Leroy's like, I'm a pastor, and we get invited to events, but basically to pray. People aren't comfortable around us because they feel like we're going to judge them. And he said, so we don't really have any friends. And Peter's like, well, what are you into? Well, I like to golf and, take my camper out. He said, maybe you don't have any friends because you're boring as hell. And he's like, what? He's like, you're boring, And so they end up developing this friendship because Peter's like, if anybody can understand you, I can't. Because his brothers are all ministers, So he and Leroy develop a great friendship.
And so I know you mentioned some in this video text. You said galleys. Is that the word you use? Galleys? Is that the word? Galleys? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What is that again? Because I'm trying to get the verbiage of this author world here.
Okay. Like this is a finished product. It is the publishing copy. This is the copy that if you went into a bookstore, that's the copy that would be on the shelf.
Okay.
A galley copy is a rough copy that I had sent to me to go through and do a final read through.
Okay.
You won't see the guts in there. You won't see all of the table of contents in the front and in the front matter and back matter with my photo and all that kind of stuff. It'll just be the book itself.
Got you. So, and if somebody wanted to buy the book, they can go with Amazon. Is it any bookstore they can get
any online bookstore and get it?
What about inside the stores? Is it like in Barnes Noble, or like where can they find the actual physical copy book?
They can order one.
Okay.
David at the Book Tavern, I think he has some of my books in there.
Okay.
But my catalog is massive.
Yeah, you said 17, and you said 10 of one a little while ago.
Yeah, the catalog is massive. So I do write romantic suspense. I do write action adventure.
Okay.
So if you want to jump off a cliff with your bae and all that kind of stuff, I have those kind of. I have a series that deals with human trafficking. I have a series that imagine John Wick and all the guys that lived in the Continental. Imagine them getting married and having a family. They still go out in the middle of the book and kill people. But they come home to meatloaf and story time.
I asked you that too. Like, storytelling, right?
Okay.
When you're approaching that, like, what are some things you really that has to, whether it's stand out to you, or what is good storytelling to you? Like, what does that all entail?
I'm a plotter, and I have to put it down on paper. I start with what if. Well, what if, she can't have kids? Well, what if she's already pregnant? I'm writing that one now. So still my idea. I'm writing it now. But she's a mail order bride and the baby's not his. What kind of man would still want her? And how is he going to approach this? Okay. She's inherited a farm. So now he has to move to where the farm is, but the farm is in bad shape. So I've had to take a couple of days off before I could write what happens next, because this guy is not like Peter. This guy, he is not one that does a lot of talking. He's going to sit and he's going to write it down. And it's going to be all of those details. But she's going to fall in love with the idea of him and how he takes care of her. Because the first thing he did upon meeting her was that he gave what's growing inside of her a name. So when he says good morning to her, he says good morning to child.
Okay.
So I'm playing around with a lot of that. So I start with the what if, and then I look at all the variables and all the factors, and how would a man react to this, and how would a woman in this situation cope with those kinds of odds.
Right. It's so interesting. We talk about the simple things and so much in this episode, and it's like, what if it sounds so simple? But what if,
simple.
Right? And then it's like, well, what if? More what if, and then you get this whole plot in this 60,000 to 80,000 word book novel, all from a what if.
What if?
2 words.
2 words.
Turned
What
into
if?
80,000. The mind is funny. The mind is just it's very imaginative, and then it's compelling to ask them kind of questions. What if? Now you wondering, okay, what if this, but also this, and add that and take that out. It's a lot. I don't know. I'll give it to y'all.
Well, the thing is, any creative person or any person at all should have 5 to 10 minutes of your own day where you sit down with a piece of paper and you say, what if? What if the next step for my podcast business would be this? How do I get my podcast Limonada? Okay. Well, what if I could get my podcast on Limonada? How do I go about getting my own studio? How do I go about doing this? Do I put a shed in my backyard and turn it into, how do I? What if I started putting $100 a month or $100 a paycheck away? What could I do at the end of the year? So I think everyone needs to sit down and take 5 to 10 minutes per day and say, what if?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's just really investing in your mental and just your future. I think a lot of times too, we invest in so much. Your relationship, your kids, you invest in helping other people.
Yes.
Take that 5 to 10 minutes to yourself is very, very important.
It is, especially when you start your day, because most people start their day, they pick up the device.
I'm trying to tell you.
And that device immediately dictates what you're going to do in the next 2 hours.
And your mood.
And your mood.
God forbid you work and I know I'm salary, so there's days I woke up, I'm like, do this. Oh my God.
Yes.
Now you're ready in a bad mood.
But if you are up for an hour before you even turn it on, your whole day is different.
Yeah. It's definitely something worth trying. Yeah. I would say so. I would definitely say so. So, I guess too, just in closing, so you got the book coming out, Show Me.
The book is out.
It's out now. It comes with a journal. It comes with a playlist. Yes. So don't lose that experience. The book is an experience.
Yes.
It's not just a novel. You're not just reading it. It's actually a full experience. It comes with a playlist. So when you take a step and you put your bookmark in your book, if people still do bookmarks, I don't know. Put your bookmark in your book. You can drive to the store. You can put the playlist on. You can still be in the Show Me experience, right? Yes. And then if you got a partner, if you don't, you dating, whatever the case may be, but if you got a partner, hopefully, you can get the journal. Y'all can do things together. Mm-hmm. So the book can extend past them 80,000 words.
Yeah. Now I am at the Laney Museum next Saturday signing.
Next Saturday. What day is that? The
16th.
16th. So
yes, 5:30 at the Laney Museum. I am speaking. I'm talking. I am signing books. I have copies there for people to buy as well.
Okay, how much the books are?
Actually, because I can do it myself, they're only $10.
Oh, wow. Clap it up. Man, listen, clap it up for you. And listen, I'm going to say this. So, from the books I purchased and stuff like that, and I'm looking at the book right now, and I seen when you put it up. Nice size book, by the way. $10. And think about it. You wouldn't experience this and all that. You could have probably charged $25, $35, $40, for what you've had to, do this to come up with the concept and bask yourself into the whole show me state, right? That's amazing. $10, you know, like that's real good. So they can see you next week, Saturday, 3/16, 5:30 at Delaney Museum.
Yeah.
You're gonna be signing, and you can buy the book there. Okay, and 5:30. So I got a celebrity game next week. But I think I'm gonna come up there. I'm not a celebrity. I don't know. They just happened to be in the game. I don't know.
Why not? Go have fun.
I'm getting old, man. I gotta work on Saturday too, man. I ain't gonna be no good when I get to work. But yeah, okay. So this was and it was good talking to you. I just think for one, I know I was gonna ask you when you wrote and stuff. You know, it seemed like you learned a lot. I like doing this as well. I did the same thing. I learned so much. I'm not an author, right? But I do feel like I'm gonna go tell somebody like I'm an author. Like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. But I also send stuff like this to the people I know, right?
Okay.
And I send certain clips that I need, like you talking about, you know, what all goes into it, the backlash you get. But the caveat is that you put something out and come back a day later and you sold 500 copies. Well, 500 copies sold is better than
none.
Just getting 3 judgments from your friends, but you're scared to put it out. You know, like that's inspirational to do, and I think that it's needed because you started this 2012. You didn't, from what you're saying, you didn't know it was gonna blossom into what it is now. You know, you very media trained. I can tell. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what you're talking about. You know how to market the book into the questions. So it was just, I mean, you know what you're doing. You set up your own stuff. You set all that up back there. I'm gonna tell you right now, she set it up. She came in, took over. She set it up. Table I normally use.
I have all the gear.
Table you got right now, I normally use it. I said, okay, she can have it. She knows what she's doing. It's fine.
You didn't even look at the swag I brought you.
No, I know I didn't want to put it on camera though, but I definitely like that you gave me gifts. You know, I told her off camera that people come in, they sell clothes, they got all the stuff they don't bring. I'm like, okay, well, how am I supposed to know your clothes is good?
Exactly,
you know,
exactly.
So definitely shout out to you for this, man. I got, let me see, it says romance with. Okay, so I got a QR code as well for the books and stuff. Show me.
Oh, so the QR code is on there.
Right there, I see it. The playlist, the journal, the book. They both got dreads too. See, that's another thing. Even on the cover, you got 2 faces. Now I'm putting like, that's a nice looking 40-year-old man. He don't look 40. You know what I'm saying? And then the woman don't like a millionaire, but I mean, you know.
A lot of people who have money, you don't
bookmark.
You don't even know they have money.
That's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. You kind of can tell somebody don't got money by what they got sometimes too. I started learning that when I get older. When you get older, you start knowing that. You know, you don't know that until you older. You see the guys in the mall with the New Balance on, and they kind of dirty, but he did not spend all his money on shoes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the only time the money issue comes up is when it's brought up by his father.
This is amazing. This is a lot of stuff in here. You got a knife in there, my pocket knife and everything in here. Can opener, a screwdriver. I got everything in here.
Did you see that pen in there? The technician
right
pen?
Here.
No, it should be another one in there with like with a lever.
Oh, I see it right. This.
Yeah, it's got like screwdriver
and a leveler.
Yeah, it's got like a measuring tape on it, and it's got like a Phillips head and a flat head in there, and you can sit your phone. And that little catch on the end.
Okay, you know that.
Yeah.
And then everything on here also is tagged. www.ogains.com.
www.ogains.com.
Is that how they can get the book and stuff too? Like, can they purchase from there and everything too? So ogains.com is the way to reach you. You got Instagram.
I got Instagram, all that stuff.
Instagram, Olivia Writes.
Writes.
Twitter, Olivia Gaines. Facebook, Ogains. And then your email, olivia@ogains.com. That's how they can contact you. Olivia Gaines, USA Today, best-selling author, romance with heart and humor.
Yes.
Very was humorous. You were very humorous.
Some of the stories will have you just side busting laughing.
But you know, like I told you off camera, and I'm gonna end it here in a second. But I told you off camera, a lot of time when I'm talking to people, I find that talking to them makes me want to know their art, or know what they do, or invest in what they do, or just support what they do. So like, I want to read the book now just from talking to you. Okay. I'm also trying to put myself in everything you saw now too. I'm reading from that perspective. Okay. Not even the romance part, but I'll read it again just for the romance part. You know, I'll take my notes and stuff too.
I brought you an action adventure one. I brought you a romantic suspense.
Okay.
Because I didn't know if you read that. So I brought you something where, it would be your alley.
Okay, well look, if you bring it right, and this is what I would do as a deal.
I have it.
No, I'm saying you give it to me as a deal. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna read it, and if you don't mind, I'm gonna do a review on it as well. I like to do reviews.
You can.
Okay, cool. I like to do reviews just because like I think sometimes like if you like something, you always talk about it. You know, that's the thing. You know, if you like it, you talk, but you don't like it, you know, McDonald's pissed me off. You can go on social media. It's so quick to talk about things we don't like. When you like something, you don't talk about it all the time. You just kind of keep it to yourself. But I try to do that. But especially books. I don't know. I just feel like the more you put out, music is easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes pictures is easy. Books, it's a process, it's experience, and it's not 2 minutes, 10 minutes. Sometimes it takes days and weeks. So I try to do that, you know, as soon as I can. So definitely, when I'm ignoring my associates at nighttime, I'll just read the book and we go from there. Okay.
Well, the one I brought you, you're gonna dig it.
Okay. I definitely appreciate it. I appreciate guests that bring things that has a lot to do with what they do. And I just feel like that makes me feel like what I'm doing is important for one, but also that, you know, when I see it on a Breakfast Club and you see it, you know, these big platforms where guests bring them stuff, I feel like them now. So now you make me feel good. It's almost like the little T. I feel like that now. I feel like you brought me the little T. I don't care if I like A. I want it anyway. That's how I feel.
That little T, it makes a big difference for a lot of people because it means that I thought about it.
That's all it means. And that's all you want.
Yeah.
To be thought about. Yeah, man, this was dope, man. So, Morning Masters podcast, Olivia Gaines. I definitely appreciate you for coming through. You know, I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot.
Me.
Definitely a great guest, and you make me want to read now. So I'm not gonna lie. I want to read more. I'm gonna give you credit, but don't give me more.
Good. That's what I'm hoping, that people will get back to the art of storytelling, writing it down, and taking the time to just decompress. Because reading, you get your little sip, you put your feet up, and you turn that page, and you've got that moment of just relaxation and escapism into this other world and this adventure.
Yeah, and then you get inspired. Yeah. Shout out to you, man. Look, One Master Podcast, we out. I appreciate you coming through.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.